Hello my dear students, welcome back. Welcome to this sub lesson that we're going to learn positive and negative decimals. Now before we continue, how was the quiz? Good to hear that. I'm so proud of you that you're doing your quiz and coming back to learn more. That's what makes you so special, and that challenges Mr. Mac only to bring the best for you, because you deserve the best and you are the best. Alright my dear students, in this sub lesson we're going to talk about decimal, and will be positive and negative decimals. Okay, so what is positive and what is negative decimals? First let's put the number line. Okay, now this is number line right there. We're going to make a line and then we're going to put a 0 in the center. Okay, now when you go to the right, the number increases, which means 1, 2, 3 and so forth. Okay, so 1 and then let's say put 2. Okay, and then if you go to the left, which would be the negative numbers, which is decreases this way. Okay, so this has become negative 1, negative 1, and then it continue will be negative 2, negative 3 and so forth. Now in between 0 and 1 and 1 and 2, 2 and 3 and so forth, there are numbers, decimals. Alright, because that's represented in a more precise, precision way. Okay, if I take the very center, that would be a 0.5. So if I had to divide this into 5 parts, okay, 1, 2, 3, 4, so 1, 2, 3, so I have to be even. Okay, so this will be 0.1 and this will be 0.2 and this will be 0.3 and this will be 0.4. Yeah, you're right. So this will be 0.4 and that'll be 0.5, and then I'm going to put another 5 parts over there. Okay, and this will become 0.6 and this is 0.7 and this is 0.8 and this is 0.9 and then gets to 1. See that? How the numbers in between 0 and 1, it's been divided into smaller, okay, measurements. So 0.1, 0.2, 0.3, 0.4, 0.5, 0.6, so forth. Okay, up to, and then reaches to 1 and then 1.1, 1.2, 1.3, 1.4 and keep going. Now we already covered this in Form 1 under decimal. Again, Mr. Mac recommend you, before we continue, if you think that you need to revisit or relearn things that you need to know about decimal, I recommend that you stop the video right now and go to Form 1 videos where you'll find decimal, lesson on decimal, and review that, and then come back and continue, because that's going to help you so much in doing this. Okay, because we'll be going in a faster phase compared to what you're going to find in Form 1 decimal, because we're going to talk much detail. Alright, and if you think you already done it and you're ready to continue, come on over, let's talk more about it. Okay, so you can see that. Now if I go to the left of the 0, which will be the negative, same thing applies. If I take the very center, that will be negative 0.5. okay, then I'm going to divide this into 5 parts, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, so that this is considered negative 0.1 and this is negative 0.2, negative 0.3 and this is negative 0.4. okay, so and this is negative 0.5, negative 0.6, negative 0.7, negative 0.8, negative 0.9, negative 1. See that? As the number goes this direction with a negative in it, look at how the numbers, just let's look at the number without the negative. 0.1, 0.2, 0.3, 0.4, it's number wise is increasing, but with the negative in it, the value is decreasing. See that? So let Mr. Mac repeat that again. When you look at the number wise, okay, 0.1, 0.2, 0.3, 0.4, it's increasing order, but when I see the value with a negative in it, it's decreasing. Okay, so with a negative decimal, the bigger the number is, the smaller the value is. So if I were to give you negative 0.5 and negative 0.9, which one is bigger, negative 0.5 or negative 0.9? Definitely negative 0.5, because you owe less than this one. So when you owe less, that means it's bigger, the more money you could have. Am I right? Okay, see it that way. Okay, I want you to see it that way. With the negative decimal, the smaller the number is, the bigger it is compared to the bigger the number is with the negative. Okay? Alright, so in other words, if I were to give you negative 3.5, okay, and then I give you negative 4.8, which one is bigger? Negative 3.5, okay, because 3.5 as a number, okay, this one is smaller but this one is bigger, but when you put the negative, that makes this whole thing is bigger value compared to that one. And now of course, if there's a no negative, 3.5 and 4.8, 4.8 is greater. 3.5, it's smaller. When you put a negative, it's the other way around. Okay, this is bigger. See that? As you go this way, the number gets smaller. When you go this direction, the number gets bigger. Okay, same principle that apply where you learn from fraction. Okay, so keep in mind 0 is the center, so when you go to the left, actually Mr. Mac should see this way because you don't facing. Okay, when the number from 0 is the center, when it goes to the right, the number get bigger. When you go to the left, the number get smaller. All right, so just example right there. Okay, all right, so let's do another one. Let's say for example, if I give you negative 12.8 and negative 3.6, so which one is bigger, negative 12.8 or negative 3.6? Negative 3.6. All right, okay, so keep in mind, if this would have been in positive numbers, 12.8 and 3.6, which one's bigger? Definitely 12.8. All right, so keep in mind, negative means you owe more. All right, so you owe more and you owe less. In overall, which is bigger? This one, the one you owe less. All right, you want to be owe less, which is better. All right, that means when you have money, you only have to pay less. That means you have more money. All right, if you owe more when you have money, you got to pay off a lot. See that? So negative, the bigger the negative number is, the smaller the value is. The smaller the negative number is, the bigger the value is. All right, so keep it that way. All right, good. All right, let Mr. Mac erase the board and I'll talk about adding and subtracting with the negative and positive decimals, and I'll be back within a few seconds. All right, my dear student, now let's start with adding decimal numbers. Okay, now let's say for example, Mr. Mac to give you 4.23 plus with 2.7. so whenever you add two decimal numbers, the principle that you're going to use is line them up. Line them up, very important. Line them up by the decimal. Okay, you grab it and line them up. You grab the decimal, you put right here. You grab that decimal, put that right there, and then write the numbers. Okay, very important, lining them up. Okay, lining them up is very important. Once you line them up and then add them by their place value, always start from the right to left. 3, in this case is 0. 3 plus 0 is 3. 2 plus 7 is 9. Decimal, bring it down. 4 plus 2 is 6. Right there. Very important. Okay, so lining them up is very important. Okay, now let's say for subtraction, let's say I have a 6.24 minus with 3.789. all right, now what's the principle again? Same as addition. You grab them by the decimal, line them up. Okay, I'm going to grab this decimal, I'm going to put right there. Grab that decimal, put right there. Now with the addition, you can write either one of them. You can write this one first and then that one next, or this one first or that one next. Okay, again, depend on how big the decimal number behind the decimal is. Okay, there are several numbers behind it. Let's say for example, if I give you 3.4 plus 2.867, I want to put this one first. So easier for me to line up with this, there's less numbers in that decimal to that one. What do I mean by that? Grab them by the decimal, put right there. Grab them by the decimal and then 2.867, and then put 3 and then put 4 and then add them. See that? Easier for me to line it up, okay? But with subtraction, I cannot do that. I have to start with this first and then on the bottom. All right, you line them up, but you can add 0 behind it. What I mean by that? Let's grab that. So I'm going to put 6, 6, 2, 4, and then I'm going to bring this one down. 3, 7, 8, 9. So I can add a 0. I'm not modifying this problem. I'm not modifying the value of this number. 6.24 with a 0 behind it is still 6.24. You can put as many 0 behind the decimal as no value to it. The purpose of me putting it so I can line it up with a number that I'm lining up below it. Okay, so now I can subtract. 0 minus 9, I cannot borrow from 4. 4 becomes 3, 0 becomes 10. See that? That's the purpose of putting 0 behind it. So now I can subtract. 10 minus 9 is 1. 3 minus 8, I cannot borrow from 2. 2 becomes 1. 3 becomes 13. 13 minus 8 is 5. Okay, 1 minus 7, I cannot borrow from 6. 6 becomes 5. 1 becomes 11. 11 minus 7 is 4. Bring the decimal straight down. 5 minus 3 is 2. Right there. That's it. Okay, the key thing is for addition and subtraction, grab it and line it up. Okay, grab them by the decimal, line them up. Grab them by the decimal, line them up. After you've done that, and then you subtract or add. Okay, depends. If it's addition, you add them. If it's subtraction, you subtract them. Okay, so now let's say you have a negative and positive decimals. Okay, let's say if I have 5.27 and I'm adding with a negative 3.24. all right, so what do? Combine this plus and minus. What would that be? Plus times minus, or positive times negative? It's going to be negative. Okay, so pretty much 5.27 minus 3.24. Then what do? You line them up and you subtract, because this one became a subtraction operation. Okay, all right, so I'm going to line it up. Grab them by the decimal, grab them by the decimal. So this one comes first, 5.27, and then I'm going to line it up with 3, 2, 4 minus 7 minus 4 is 3, 2 minus 2 is 0. Bring the decimal down. 5 minus 3 is 2. That gives me 2.03. Okay, let's say if I give you another one. Let's say if I have, let's say 7.05 minus negative 2.8. So what's my first step? Combine the sign. All right, negative negative makes it positive. Okay, so it becomes 7.05 plus 2.8. Now I line them up. Grab them by the decimal. Grab them by the decimal. So you got 7.05 and then 2 and 8 plus 5. Then so you can put a 0 behind it. Okay, that way you can line it up. 5 plus 0 is 5. 0 plus 8 is 8. Bring the decimal. 7 plus 2 is 9. So it becomes 9.85. Okay, keep in mind, behind the decimal you can add zeros. Okay, so let's say if I give it 3.2, by adding several 0 behind it, this 3 zeros has no value to it after decimal. All right, but of course if it's a round number, you can't just simply add 0, because now it becomes 400. From 4, by adding 2 0 becomes 400. You cannot do that. All right, but with the decimal it's still 3.2. 0, 0, 0, that no value, that 0, 0, 0. But you can add on to, if in case you have to add something that you have to line it up, or subtract with another decimal number that you have to line it up. You can use that to help you to line them up right. All right? Okay, good. Okay, let Mr. Mac erase the board. Let's do a few more problems. Okay, I'll be back with you in a few seconds. Alright, my dear student, let's say for example, Mr. Back to give you 4.25 plus 3.4 plus 5.672. How do I do something like this? Exactly, the pairing method. Okay, so we're going to pair them up. We're going to add this first, and then we're going to add with that one. Alright, pretty straightforward. Okay, now what do? Then we add this 2 first, and then we add with that one. So we grab them by the decimal, line them up. Very important. Grab them by the decimal and line them up. Okay, so now I'm going to add them. 5, you can put a 0. 5 plus 0 is 5. 4 plus 2 plus 4 is 6. And then I bring the decimal straight down. 4 plus 3 is 7. Now I take that one, line it up with that one. Oh, I can take this one, write it first. Okay, so in other words, I take this decimal, put it there, take that decimal, line up, then line it up. So it'll be easier. There we go. Then just add 0 behind it. See that? You don't have to take this one below it. You can take this, put this one first and then line it up below it. It's a lot easier, okay? Only for addition. With subtraction, you can't do that, all right? So now we're going to add them. 2 plus 0 is 2. 7 plus 5 is 12. 2 carry 1. 1 plus 6 is 7. 7 plus 6 is 13. Okay, carry 1. Bring the decimal straight 1. 1 plus 5 is 6. 6 plus 7 is 13. There you go. That's the answer. All right. Okay, let's say if Mr. Mac to give you 6.75 plus negative 3.1 and then minus negative 4.25. What do you do something like this? Very important. Combine all the sign before you perform any what type of operation it forms up to. All right. So in this case, plus and minus will becomes what? Minus. So you got 6.72 minus 3.1. Negative and negative becomes positive. 4.25. See that? Now you do the pairing method. Okay, so we're going to pair this, pair with that one. All right. So we're going to grab them by the decimal, 672, and then grab that by the decimal, 3, 1. I'm going to subtract the first one. First pair, all right? So that's a 0 right there. 2 minus 0 is 2. 7 minus 1 is 6. And then bring the decimal down. 6 minus 3 is 3. Now I got this one down, and then I'm going to add that with that one, okay? I can grab them by the decimal, line them up. So 4, 2, 5. I'm going to add that with 3, 6, 2 plus. 5 plus 2 is 7. 2 plus 6 is 8, and then bring the decimal down. 4 plus 3 is 7, right there. So it becomes 7.87. So this is the combined operation, okay? So we got negative and positive. So you can use the left to right method by using the pairing method. So we paired this, we solved it, and then we add with that, and then we combined it with the final product from this pair, and then we added, we got 7.87, okay? So very straightforward, isn't it? Pretty easy, okay? So you learn how to add. If there's a 3 decimal numbers you want to add, you use the pairing method, and then you learn how to use the combined operation. Okay, good. So let's talk about multiplication. Okay, let Mr. Mac erase the board, and I'll be back with you in a few seconds. All right. My dear student, now with the addition and subtraction, what method do we use? Grab them by the decimal, line them up. With multiplication, we're going to use this principle. Forget now, remember later. Forget now, remember later method. Okay? Let's say for example, Mr. Mac to give you 2.5 and I'm multiplying that with 1.6. Right now, let's just forget it. Let's forget about the decimal. Alright? So that means you got 25 times 16. And we know how to multiply them, alright? We're going to use the long multiplication method. We're going to line it up. 25 and 16, alright? So 6 times 5 is 30. 0, carry 3. 6 times 2 is 12, plus 3 is 15. So 5, 1. Now we're going to start with the 1. Always start right here. We're going to multiply with 1. We start right there. 1 times 5 is 5. 1 times 2 is 2. Then we're going to add them. Alright, so now we're going to add them. 0, just bring it down. And then 5 plus 5 is 10. 0, carry 1. 1 plus 1 is 2. 2 plus 2 is 4. See that? Now, remember the principle was forget now, remember later. Okay, we want to go back to the numbers that we want to go back to the numbers that has the decimal. How many numbers are there behind the decimal? 1, 2. See that? See the decimal right there? Decimal there. The number behind the decimal. How many numbers? 1, 2. Okay, so the 2 numbers behind the decimal. So now we're going to bring that back into this one, the decimal, by counting 2 numbers from the back. 1, 2. decimal right there. That decide how many numbers from the back I count to put the decimal. If there's 2 numbers behind the decimal, I count from the back how many numbers, 1, 2, and then put the decimal right there. That means this is 4.0 or just 4, because the 0 has no value to it. Okay, you can just put 4. Okay, let's say for example, Mr. Mac to give you negative 3.25 times 0.8. So how do we do this? Forget now, remember later. Only the decimal we are forgetting, all right? Okay, so how are we going to do this? Forget now, remember later. But keep in mind this negative and positive, you're multiplying. Your final answer is going to be what? Negative. So right now, let's keep the negative aside and let's use the forget now, remember later. Okay, we're going to forget about the decimal. Okay, so we got 325, you're multiplying that with the 8. So line it up. 325, you're multiplying with the 8. 8 times 5 is 40. 0, carry 4. 8 times 2 is 16, plus 4 is 20. 0, carry 2. Alright, 8 times 3 is 24. 24 plus 2 is 26. Now, are we done? No, because we got to put the negative back. Alright, because negative times positive is negative. Next thing is we're going to put the decimal back. Remember later, forget now, remember later. See that? Okay, we want to find out how many numbers behind the decimal. How many numbers are there? Let's start with this one. 1, 2. See the decimal? 1, 2, decimal 3. So there are 3 numbers. 1, 2, 3 numbers behind the decimal. So we're going to count from the back. 1, 2, 3. So in other words, 1, 2, 3. Right there. We're going to put the decimal right there. So the answer is negative 2.6. That's the anscer. Negative 2.6. Be sure to pay attention to the negative. Ping, all right? Negative and positive gives you negative. All right, let's do another one. Okay, let's say if I give you negative 4.702 times 1.3 negative. All right? And we're going to multiply that. So first thing, negative times negative is what? Positive. So you know it's going to be positive. Final answer is going to be positive. Okay? What method are we going to use when you have a true decimal multiplying? Forget now, remember later. Okay, so we're going to take the decimal out. So we're going to have 4702 and we're going to multiply that with 13. Alright, we're going to line it up. Alright, so we're going to put 4702, we're going to line it up with 13 and we're going to multiply. Let's start with 3. 3 times 2 is 6, 3 times 0 is 0, 3 times 7 is 21, 1, 2, 1 and then carry 2, 3 times 4 is 12, plus 2 is 14. Now we're going to multiply with 1. You got to start right here. Very important. Okay, 1 times 2 is 2, 1 times 0 is 0, 1 times 7 is 7, 1 times 4 is 4. Now I'm going to add them. 6, 0 plus 2 is 2, 1 plus 0 is 1, 4 plus 7 is 11, 1 carry 1, 1 plus 1 is 2, plus 4 is 6. And then we know that negative times negative is positive. Alright? And then how many numbers are there behind the decimal? 1, 2, 3, 4. So we're going to bring it back. Start from the back. 1, 2, 3, 4. Right there. So it becomes positive 6.1126. That's the answer for that. Alright, pretty easy, isn't it? Okay, good. Let Mr. Mike erase the board and let's talk about division. Okay, and I'll be back with you in a few seconds. Alright, my dear student, now we did the addition and subtraction. What method do we use? Grab them by the decimal, line them up. And then for multiplication, forget now, remember later. Now let's talk about division. Okay, let's say for example, Mr. Mac to give you 4.25 divided by 0.5. Now for division, I want you to pay attention to this divisor. This is the one that we're going to say forget it. We're going to use the forget it method. What do I mean by forget it? We're going to forget the decimal. That means I'm going to move this decimal. How many times am I moving? Once. But when I move that one by once, I have to do the same thing on the dividend. Okay, I also have to move once. So that becomes 42.5 divided by 5. Forget it. We're not going to remember back. For division, just say forget it. Alright, but only for the divisor. Divisor, alright, decide how many times I have to forget, move it. Then that follows for the dividend. Alright, so when you say forget it, that means you're moving the decimal up. That means this also follows the number of times the decimal moves. Alright, so in this case become 42.5 divided by 5. Alright, let's revisit again what I mean by forget it. Alright, this decimal right there, for the divisor we're going to move away from it, make it into a round number, okay, whole number, no decimal to it. How many times do I have to move it to create that? Only once. That means I have to do the same thing with the dividend. I have to move it only once. That means it becomes, the whole problem here becomes 42.5 divided by 5. The result is still the same, okay? So we are not, even though we just changed it, the look of the problem, but the result is going to be same. Alright, so do not think that we change the whole thing and the results can be different. No, it's just a way of solving this. Now you use the long division method, which means we're going to use the cage approach. Okay, so we're going to put the cage. 42.5 is kind of into Mr. Mac. I'm going to put inside the cage. 42.5 and 5 is kind of out. I'll put outside the cage. So now ask yourself, in 4 there's 75? None. I go to next digit. 42 there's 75. From timetable we know 8 times 5 is 40. Minus 2 minus 0 is 2. 4 minus 4 is 0. See the decimal right there? Bring it up. Always straight up. Alright? Then bring the 5 down. In 25 there's 75. 5. 5 times 5 is 25. Minus, give me 0. And that's the final answer. 8.5. Now do I make any changes on the decimal? No, that's a forget it method for division. Just forget it. Once you forget it, you don't remember back. Am I right? But for multiplication is forget now, remember later method. Alright, that's how we did. Let's do another one. Let's say Mr. Mac give you 2.754 divided by 0.03. See that? So our goal is what? To forget the decimal for the divisor. The divisor must be a round number, no decimal. That means I have to move. I got to forget it. I want to move the decimal out. That means how many times do I move it? Twice. 1, 2. See that? Move twice to make it into a round number. Alright? 3. So that means the divider also, the dividend also follows. By how many times? 2 times. See that? So that means I have to also move twice. Put the decimal right there. So it becomes 275.4. I'm dividing it by 3. Okay? Now I use the long division method. Okay? The cage approach. Okay? So I'm going to put the cage. So 275.4 is kind of into Mr. Mac. I'm going to put it inside the cage. 0.4 and then 3 is kind of out. I'll put outside the cage. 2 I cannot. 27. That's how many? 3. Very good. 9. 9 times 3 is 27. Minus, give me 0. And then bring the 5 down. In 5, that's how many? 3? 1. 1 times 3 is 3. Minus 5 minus 3 is 2. See the decimal right there? Bring it up. Then bring the 4 down. In 24, that's how many? 3? 8. Because 8 times 3 is 24. Minus, give me 0. So the answer is 91.8. That's it right there. Do I have to bring the decimal back or anything like that? No. Once you forget it, you don't remember it. For division only. Alright? Okay, now let's deal with negative numbers, negative decimals. Alright? Okay, so now you know how to solve it, division. Let's say if I give you negative 6.428, and then I'm going to divide that by negative 0.4. So how do I do this? Very good. Okay, I have to forget the decimal. I got to move the decimal out of the 0.4, make it into a round number. So I'm going to move once. That means this is also follows move once. So that becomes 64.28, and make sure you put the negative back, divided by negative 4. Division, negative divided by negative should give me positive. Alright, so I know that final answer is going to be positive. So I'm going to use the long division method. 64.28 divided by 4. I'm going to use the cage approach, okay? So I'm going to put the cage, 64.28. Can I int Mr. Mac? I'm going to put inside the cage. So 64.28. 4 is kind of out, I'll put outside the cage. In 6 there's 74, 1. 1 times 4 is 4. 6 minus 4 is 2. Bring the 4 down. In 24 there's how many 4? 6. 6 times 4 is 24. Minus, give me 0. See the decimal? Bring it up. Bring the 2 down. In 2 there's how many 4? 0. Make sure you put the 0. And then bring the 8 down. In 28 there's how many 4? 7. 7 times 4 is 28. Minus, give me 0. Then I'm done. So the answer is 16.07. And you don't have to show the plus, just put 16.07 right there. Alright? Very important, okay? Say negative divided by negative, positive. So that way you don't have to put this negative and all that in there. It looks very complicated. We want to make the problem as easy as possible. That's why ahead of time, negative divided by negative is positive. Now just take the number and then divide them by using the long division method, using the cage approach. There you go. Now do I bring any decimal or anything back? No. Once you forget it, it's done. You don't bring it back. And that's all for the division, alright? Okay, good. Let Mr. Mac erase the board and we'll do the combined operation, okay, for decimal. And I'll be back with you in a few seconds. Alright, my dear students, I got a couple of problems listed on the board. We're going to use the combined operation. The first one we got addition and subtraction, and the second one will be multiplication and division. Okay, so let's do the first one. Alright, now look at this problem. First, understand the type of problem I gave you. I gave you 3 decimals, so it could be adding or subtracting or adding. Alright, so but you got 3 decimals. You're performing an operation. So what method do we use? The first step ought to be the pairing method. Okay, we're going to pair them up. So we're going to combine this 2 and then we're going to combine with that. Now after that, now look at that, you got 2 signs. You have to convert them into one sign. That means positive times negative will be what? Negative. Alright, that means 4.75 you're subtracting with 3.2. And then I'm going to perform this operation first before I perform with that. Alright? Okay, so line it up. So always when you're subtraction, this comes first and then this comes below it. So 4.75 and 3 and 2. Line it up. Alright? Now you can add another 0 behind it. 5 minus 0 is 5. 7 minus 2 is 5. Decimal, bring it straight down. Very important. Straight down. 4 minus 3 is 1. You've done this part. So that 1.55 replaces this whole thing. So that means pretty much 1.55 negative and negative will becomes what? Positive. Negative times negative is positive. So I'm adding that with 6.772. Look at that. This one has more digit than this one. So I'm going to take this one first and line it up and put that one below it. Only applies for addition but not subtraction. Alright? I can take either one of them. It's better to take that one and easier to line it up with the lesser digit number. So in this case, as a lesser digit, I put a decimal 155. Add them. 2, let's put a 0 behind it. 2 plus 0 is 2. 7 plus 5 is 12. Okay, put 2, carry 1. 1 plus 7 is 8. 8 plus 5 is 13. So I put 3, carry 1, see the decimal, bring it down. 1 plus 6, 7. 7 plus 1 is 8. So that gives you 8.322. See that? Okay, that's it right there. Pretty straightforward, alright? Okay, so follow these steps. You'll never make a mistake. Let's look at this one. The same thing. You got 3 decimals. Okay, you got a division and multiplication. So we're going to use left to right method. And we're going to use the pairing method. So we're going to pair up. We're going to pair up. So we're going to do the division first and then we're going to do multiplication. What are these results going to be? Okay, so let's do that. So you got negative 12.42. We're going to divide that by 0.6. Now what is the principle for division on decimal? Forget it. We're going to forget it for the divisor. For this is the one we're going to say forget it. That means we're going to move this decimal out. How many times did I move? Once. This also follows once. That means it becomes negative 124.2 divided by 6. Negative divided by positive will give me what? Negative. You know your final answer is going to be negative, alright? Now we're just going to take 124.2 divided by 6 into the long division, okay? So we're going to use the cage approach. So 124.2 is kind of into Mr. Mac. I'm going to put inside the cage. And 6 is kind of out. I'll put outside the cage. 1, I cannot go to the next digit. 12, how many 6? 2. 2 times 6 is 12. Minus, give me 0. Bring 4 down. In 4, there's how many 6? 0. See the decimal? Bring it up. Bring the 2 down. In 42, there's how many 6? Very good. 7 times 6 is 42. Okay? 7 times 6 is 42. Minus, give me 0. We already got the negative there. Just bring this one and put right next to it. 20.7. Negative 20.7. Now that's only for this part. So we can take negative 20.7 times with negative 2.2. That one right there. Now we are multiplying. What's the principle for multiplying when decimal is concerned? Exactly. Forget now, remember later. Forget now, remember later. Okay, for multiplication. Okay, that means what? We're going to forget all the decimals, okay? And we know that negative times negative is going to be what? Positive. So we know our answer is going to be a positive number. Okay, so we're going to take 207, we're going to multiply that with 22 and line it up. How is that? Because remember we said we forget now. We're going to forget the decimal. We're just going to put it like this. Let's multiply them out. 2 times 7 is 14. 4, carry 1. 2 times 0 is 0. Plus 1 is 1, 2 times 2 is 4. Now I'm going to multiply that with 2. I'm going to start right here. 2 times 7 is 14, carry 1, 2 times 0 is 0, plus 1 is 1, 2 times 2 is 4. Now I'm going to add them. 4, 5, 5, 4. Forget now, remember later. We're going to remember back the decimal. How many numbers are there behind the decimal? 1, 2. I start from the back, count for 2. 1, 2, right there. I'm going to put the decimal right there. So that becomes 45.54. Positive. So you can drop that positive, just put 45.54. Right, that's it. Pretty easy, isn't it? I know it is very easy. Okay? But the key thing is understanding. For addition and subtraction, grab them by the decimal, line them up. For multiplication, forget now, remember later. For division, forget it. But that's apply for the divisor. You forget on that one, but the dividend also follows how many times you move that decimal. Alright? So use that principle. You'll do good. And of course, make sure you remember the negative and negative is positive. Negative and positive is negative. Positive and negative is negative. Positive and positive is, you know that for sure it's going to be positive. Alright? So, well, that tells you what? It's time for hands-on practice. That's right. Let's see what Pablo's doing. Let's bother him a little bit. Pablo! No, that's not. He's busy. Look at him. He's busy putting the hands-on practice worksheet for us. Okay, my dear student, give me a few seconds and I'll be back and then we'll call Pablo out. Then we bother him and then pull him out. It's like, bring it over the worksheet. So, dear student, so you can work on hands-on practice. Alright, my dear student, give me a few seconds. I'll be back. Alright, my dear student, are you ready for some hands-on practice? Good. Let's call Pablo out, alright? Pablo, come on over, Pablo. Bring over the worksheet. Well, here it is, my dear students. Pablo's going to hand over the worksheet to you, and guess what? Have fun, all right? Make sure pause the video, and then after you're done, invite Mr. Mack in, okay? Have fun. All right. Whoa, he was pretty busy, isn't he? All right, let's do it together, okay? So the first question, let's say, calculate. So you're given 1a negative 2.45 plus with negative 1.4. So first, what do we do? First, we combine the positive and negative, so that way we only have one sign. All right, always keep it in one sign, okay? So you got negative 2.45 minus 1.4. Now look at that, pretty much what it is, negative and negative. So in other words, you owe more. So in other words, you know your final answer is going to be negative. So what we're going to do is we're going to add these two numbers, okay? So we know the final answer is going to be negative, so we're going to add these two numbers. So what do we do? We're going to line it up. We're going to grab that by the decimal, line them up, okay? So let's grab that by the decimal, put right there, grab this one by the decimal, right there. So we're going to 2.45 and 1.4. We're going to add them. All right, why are we adding? Because look at that, you get I owe, you owe more. That means we know the final answer is going to be negative, so we're just going to combine these two decimals. All right, and that's why I'm adding it. All right, so we can add another 0 behind this. 5 plus 0 is 5, 4 plus 4 is 8, and then you bring the decimal down. 2 plus 1 is 3. So that tells you it's equals to negative, so I'm just going to write it down here, negative 3.85. All right, okay, let's do problem B. Problem B, you're given negative 5.02 plus 9.2. Now look at this. I can rearrange this. Look at that, negative is smaller, positive is bigger. So I can rearrange such a way, I can write out 9.2 minus 5.02. See that? Pretty much is a subtraction problem. So what do? Line them up. Grab them by the decimal, line them up. So I'm going to put the 9.2 decimal right there, and then this decimal right there. And then I'm going to put 9.2, and then 502. Now I can add another 0 behind that, so that way I can subtract now, okay? 0 minus 2, I cannot borrow from 2. 2 becomes 1, 0 becomes 10. 10 minus 2 is 8, 1 minus 0 is 1, and then bring the decimal down. 9 minus 5 is 4, okay? Because we know it's going to be a positive, so it's going to be 4.18, because the number is positive, number is bigger than the negative number. So when I subtract, give me 4.18. See that? Pretty easy, isn't it? All right, let's do problem C. Now, problem C, you're given negative 7.02 minus negative 4.37. So first step is combine this negative and negative. So that way we only have one sign. Always, whenever you're doing a problem, when you see negative and negative, or positive and negative, or negative and positive, you combine them, make them into one, all right? So in this case, I'm going to rewrite this as negative 7.02. Negative, negative become positive 4.37. Now look at this. This negative belongs to this decimal. The positive belongs to this decimal. Now, 7.02 is a negative number, and you get more negative than a positive. That means your answer is going to be what? Negative. Okay, you know your final answer is going to be negative. So what are we going to do? We're going to take this positive and then pay the 4.37 towards this negative. That means I'm subtracting 4.37 out of the 7.02. So I'm going to line it up. Okay, let's grab the decimal, and then grab this decimal, line it up. So 702 and then 437. I'm going to subtract, because this is a positive and this is negative. I'm taking this and applying it towards the negative. Pretty much I'm taking out 4.37 out of the 7.02. Okay, so that's what I'm subtracting. So 2 minus 7, I cannot. 0, can I borrow from 7? 7 becomes 6. And 0 becomes 10. Now I can borrow towards 2. Borrow 1 becomes 9. This one becomes 12. 12 minus 7 is 5. 9 minus 3 is 6. And then bring the decimal down. 6 minus 4 is 2. That means negative 2.6. 2.65. See that? After I pay, say I owe 7.02. When I pay off 3.7, left is how much I owe? 2.65. That's how I want you to see it. I owe, I have. I owe more than what I have. So you apply what you have towards what you owe, and you still owe but less than what you originally owe. See that? That's why negative and positive. See that? When you're combining, you know your final answer is going to be negative. And you owe more than you have. That means you're going to apply this towards you owe, and you want to find out the balance that you owe. Still that you owe. Right? That's why pretty much I took 7.02 minus 4.37 to find out what would be the balance I still owe. Alright? Good. Alright? Okay, problem D. Let's, Mr. Mac, erase the board and we'll do problem D. And I'll be back within a few seconds. Alright, you ready for problem D? Alright, problem D says negative 3.16 times negative 1.4. Decimal, we're multiplying. First look at that negative and negative. When you multiply, it becomes what? Positive. So we know your final answer is going to be positive. Alright? And then now we're multiplying two decimals. So what method we're going to use? Forget now, remember later. Very good. So we're going to forget all the decimals. So we're going to put 316. We're going to multiply that with 14. Alright? 4 times 6 is 24. 4 carry 2. 4 times 1 is 4 plus 2 is 6. 4 times 3 is 12. Now we're going to times with 1. We're going to start right there. 1 times 6 is 6. 1 times 1 is 1. 1 times 3 is 3. Then I'm going to add them. So 4. And then 6 plus 6 is 12, 2 carry 1, 1 plus 2 is 3, plus 1 is 4, okay, 1 plus 3 is 4. And then what do? Forget now, remember later, we're going to bring the decimal back. How many numbers are behind the decimal? 1, 2, 3. Counting from the back, 1, 2, 3, right there. That's how I'm going to put the decimal, okay? So that becomes 4.424. And then you can just drop the plus. You just put 4.424, all right? Very important, okay? How you read it. Remember, if you have, let's say, how do you read this? 234.25. After decimal, you call out the digit individually. But before the decimal, you read it with their place values like 234.25. That's the proper way of reading it, okay? All right, good. Now let's do problem E. Problem E, you're given negative 48.78 divided by negative 0.9. So negative 48.78 divided by negative 0.9. Now negative divided by negative, positive. You know your final answer is going to be positive. Now you got two digit. Now you got two decimal dividing. What method are we going to use? Forget now. No. So you got two decimal. It's dividing. What method we're going to use? Forget it. Applying towards the divisor. Okay? Divisor. Okay? So we're going to only move once. That means if I move once, this one also move once. Very important. Okay? Alright? Alright. So that means it becomes 487.8 divided by 9. So what method we're going to use? The long division method. That means we're going to use a cage approach. 487.8 is kind of into Mr. Mac. I'm just going to put inside the cage, alright? And 9 is kind of out. I'll put outside the cage. 4, I can, how about 48? In 48, there's how many 9? Very good. Good job, okay? Alright, so now, so first digit 4 cannot. Let's go to 48. In 48, there's how many 9? 5 time table. 5 times 9 is 45, okay? So 5 times 9 is 45, minus 8 minus 5 is 3, 4 minus 4 is 0. Then bring 7 down. In 37, there's how many 9? Very good, 4, because 4 times 9 is 36. 7 minus 6 is 1, 3 minus 3 is 0. See the decimal? Bring it up. Very important. Then bring 8 down. In 18, there's how many 9? 2. 2 times 9 is 18, minus give me 0. Okay, so this is 54.2. 2. Do I bring the decimal back? No, because on this on the division, you forget it. That means just forget it, you don't bring it back. Only multiplication, forget now, remember later. But the division, you just forget it. It's gone, all right? You just don't bring it back. And we know the final answer is going to be positive. You just drop the plus, you don't have to show it. Just put 54.2, all right? Okay, good. Let Mr. Mac erase the board and we'll do problem number 2, okay? And I'll be back within a few seconds. Alright, my dear student, problem number 2, evaluate. Are you ready for that one? Alright, let's do it. A. The problem A, 2A gives you, it's given negative 12.4 minus negative 4.52 plus 6.77. So when you have a problem like this, how do you do it? You use the pairing method, okay? So we're going to add this 2 first and then we're going to combine with that. Alright, so look at that. You got negative and negative. Well, it becomes what? Positive. So negative 12.4, negative become positive 4.52. But wait a minute, look at this. You also got plus 6.77. Wouldn't it be better? You got a negative number here, you got 2 positive number here. Wouldn't it be better if I combine this and then combine with that? So in other words, let me pair this first, add those 2 positive numbers, and then deal with the negative decimal. See that? That's how you do it. So when I given you, when you put this out and you look at it, it's like, oh, that would be a better way to solve it. It's nothing wrong with this, doing this first and then that, but it's just extra longer work. Alright? This will get to answer faster. Alright, let's do that. Let's add this 2 first, okay? So we got plus and plus. See, when we look at this, we think, well, we're just going to use to the left to the right method, okay? We're going to combine this and then add to that. You can do that. But when you have addition and addition, you can do that. You can just combine this first and then combine with that. Alright, let's do that. So we're going to line it up. So we're going to grab them by the decimal. So we got 4.52 and 6.77. We're going to add them. 2 plus 7 is 9. 5 plus 7 is 12. 2 carry 1. Decimal, bring it down. 1 plus 4 is 5. 5 plus 6 is 11. So that gives me, this whole thing is 11.29. I'm adding it with negative 12.4. Look at this. The negative number is bigger than the positive number. So your final answer is going to be what? Negative, but it's going to be smaller than what this is, okay? So you know this is going to be negative. That means you're going to apply this positive 11.29 towards the negative 12.4. So you're kind of paying off. This is what you owe and this is what you have. So that means we know the final answer is going to be negative. I'm going to take 11.29 from 12.4. That means I'm going to subtract. So I'm going to take 12. In other words, I'm going to grab the decimal, put right there, and then put 12.4, and then line it up with this one. 11 to 9. Okay, and then I'm going to subtract. Okay, I can add a 0 behind that. So 0 minus 9, I cannot borrow from 4. 4 becomes 3, 0 becomes 10. 10 minus 9 is 1, 3 minus 2 is 1, bring the decimal down, 2 minus 1 is 1, 1 minus 1 is 0. So that tells me the answer is going to be negative 1.11. See that? Does that make sense? Alright? Okay, keep in mind, see, they get bigger negative than a positive. You know your final answer is going to be negative. And you got plus 11.29. And you have and you owe. You're going to apply what you owe with 11.29. And that's why I pretty much subtracted out of the 12.4 to give me 1.11. That's how much I still owe, 1.11. Okay? Alright, let's do next one. Problem B. Now problem B, you're given 2.4 times negative 1.2 times negative 0.3. So you got 3 decimals multiplying. Alright, so what method we're going to use? Pairing method. So we're going to use left to right method. Okay, we're going to pair this and then we're going to pair with that one. All right, let's start with this one. So we got 2.4 times negative 1.2. When you multiply two decimal, what method we're going to use? Forget now, remember later, all right? And you know this is plus and this is minus. Your final answer is going to be minus, negative, all right? Positive times negative gives you negative, all right? So we're going to take 24, we're going to multiply that with 12. Remember, forget now, remember later. We're going to take all the decimal out, all right? And put 24 times 12. 2 times 4 is 8, 2 times 2 is 4, and then I'm going to times it with 1 now. Start right here. 1 times 4 is 4, 1 times 2 is 2. Very important, when you multiply this, you come straight down. And then just times it and line them up. 8, 4 plus 4 is 8, 2, just bring it 2. Now we're going to put the decimal back. How many numbers behind the decimal? 1, 2. Start from the back. 1, 2, and then put the decimal right there. So it becomes negative 2.88. Because why is negative? Because positive and negative multiply gives me negative. Now we did this part. Now I'm going to multiply that with negative 0.3. See that? Again, I'm going to do the same procedure, which means what? Forget the decimals, all right? And we know negative times negative is going to be what? Positive. My final answer is going to be positive, all right? So I'm going to take 288, I'm going to multiply that with, see, when I forget the decimal on this one, it becomes what? 3. Lining them up, very important. 3 times 8 is 24, 4 carry 2, 3 times 8 is 24, plus 2 is 26, carry 2, 3 times 2 is 6, plus 2 is 8. Now bring the decimal back. How many numbers behind the decimal? 1, 2, 3. Right here, 1, 2, 3. Put the decimal right there. That means you put a 0. So it becomes 0.864. 0.864 right there. Very important, okay? Forget about the decimal. After you multiply, make sure you put that back the decimal. How do we do that? By counting how many numbers behind the decimal. See, like the decimal, 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3, the decimal right there. And then if there's no value in front of, no numbers in front of the decimal, you just put a 0. It becomes 0.864. That's the final answer. All right? Okay, good. Let Mr. Mac erase the board and we'll do problem number C. Okay, problem C. And I'll be back with you in a few seconds. Alright, my dear student, you ready for C? Let's do C. Okay, C was given. C is given as negative 2.64 divided by 1.2 divided by negative 1.1. Alright, so negative 2.64, we're dividing it by 1.2 divided by negative 1.1. Alright, you got 3 decimals and they both are dividing. Alright, so what is our first step ought to be? Exactly, pairing method. Okay, we're going to do this first and then that. In other words, we're going to use left to right method. Okay, all right, so let's start with this too. So negative and positive, and you divide will give you what? Negative. All right, now with the division, what method we do? The divisor. So this is going to be our divisor right now. Okay, which should be, we're going to get rid of the decimal. Okay, in other words, forget it. So we're going to get rid of the decimal. So we're going to forget it. We're going to move it once. That means this is also moved once. All right. That means what? It's going to be. Let's rewrite before we take the negative. Okay. Let's just rewrite this. Right. Negative 26.4 divided by 12. All right. Now negative and positive, you just do negative. So you know the final answer is going to be negative. So we use the long division method. Okay, so we're going to use the cage approach. 26.4 is kind of into Mr. Mac. I'm going to put inside the cage. So we're going to put 26.4 and 12 going to be outside. In 2, no, we got to do the next digit, 26. In 26, there's how many? 12. Very good. 2, because 2 times 12 is 24. 6 minus 4 is 2. 2 minus 2 is 0. See the decimal? Bring it up. Very important. Bring it up. And then bring 4 down. In 24, there's how many? 12. 2. 2 times 12 is 24. Minus, give me 0. So that means negative 2.2. Alright? So negative 2.2. We did this part. Now we're going to bring this one. Divide by negative 1.1. All right. How do we now again? Do we bring the decimal back on this one? No, because this for division, forget it. Okay, once we forget about the decimal, we don't bring it back. Again, another division. What method we're going to use? Forget it. So we're going to means the divisor is the one we're going to forget it. We're going to get rid of the decimal. Okay, that means once I moved it, I want to move once right there. So that becomes negative 22 divided by negative 11. Negative divided by negative, positive. So we know the final answer is going to be positive. 22 divided by 11, we're going to use the long division. Okay, 22 is kind of into Mr. Mac, I'm going to put inside the cage. 11 is kind of out, I'll put outside the cage. In 2, I cannot, so I go to the next digit. 22, that's how many 11? 2. Because 2 times 11 is 22, minus give me 0. That means the answer is 2 right there. That's your final answer. Pretty easy. I know, it's easy. Just do step by step. That's it. Just know your principle. Division, you forget it, the decimal. Multiplication, forget now, remember later. Addition and subtraction, line them up. Grab them by the decimal, line them up. Okay? Alright, let's do problem D. Problem D, you're given negative 8.52 divided by 0.03 times negative 0.4. So, what method do we use? Very good. We go left to right and use the pairing method. Okay? So we're going to do left to right. So that means we're going to pair this one and then pair with that one. Alright? So let's start with this one. When you divide the divisor, what do? Forget the decimal. Forget the decimal. We're going to move this decimal. How many times? 3. How many times? 2 times. Okay? So right there, how many times I moved it? Twice. If I moved it twice, I have to do the same thing with this one. Move it twice. 1, 2. So that gives me negative 852 divided by 3. Negative divided by positive gives me what? Negative. So I know my final answer is going to be negative. I'm going to use long division method to solve that one. So use the cage approach. 852 is kind of into Mr. Mac. I'm going to put it inside the cage. 3 is kind of out from Mr. Mac. I'm going to put it outside the cage. And 8 is how many? 3? 2. 2 times 3 is 6. 8 minus 6 is 2. I'm going to bring the 5 down. In 25 is how many? 3? 8. Because 8 times 3 is 24. 5 minus 4 is 1. 2 minus 2 is 0. And then I'm going to bring the 2 down. In 12, that's how many? 3? 4. 4 times 3 is 12. Minus give me 0. Then I take the 284, put it right here. I just completed this part. Now I got to do this one. I bring that one. Okay? Times negative 0.4. Negative, negative. I know my final answer is going to be positive. See, there's a decimal right there. We're going to forget it. Okay? We're going to multiply 284 with 4. 4 times 4 is 16. Carry 1. Put the 6 there. Carry 1. 4 times 8 is 32. Plus 1 is 33. 4 times 2 is 8. Plus 3 is 11. Now, with the multiplication, forget now, remember later. See that? We forget about the decimal. Now we got to remember back. How many numbers behind the decimal? Only 1. This is already a whole number. So this is only 1. Okay? So we just bring it back. 1. So that gives me 113.6. Right there. 113.6. And that's the end of the hands-on practice. Well done, well done. I'm so proud of you. I'm always proud of you because you are a champ. You're a champion. And you belong to SCOE Math Victory, an elite group of students like you come and learn like SCOE Math Victory. And I'm so proud of you because you're the best. And you always deserve the best, and that's why Mr. Mac is here to bring the best, and he's coming from the best. Alright, my dear student, here's Pablo. He's already out with his banner saying, "It's time for quiz! It's time for quiz!" Alright, and he also just challenged us. I dare you as well. Yes, he's daring us, saying, do it! Do the quiz and then come back and see Mr. Mac on the next up lesson. Alright? Okay. Have fun, go get him, Tiger, and then come back and we'll have fun more. Okay? I'll see you. Bye-bye.